A very warm welcome to all my CA Foundation students. Let us continue our series on writing practice. Now, in today's session, we are going to discuss the questions related to Unit 5 and 6 of Contract Act. These are 5 most important and unique questions from these two units. Students, I am referring my law compiler for our discussion. This is a compilation of all the past exam questions, study material, RTP, MTP questions arranged unit wise. Discussion videos discussing all the questions are also available as a combo. The answers, if you see, they are given in 4-step format: provisions, facts, analysis, and conclusion. So you can purchase the book from my website capreetyagarwal.com, and a combo is also available wherein you will get not only the hard copy of book but also the discussion videos of each and every question. But in today's session, I have identified 5 most important and unique questions from Unit 5 and 6. I'm going to train you on how to frame the answer, how to decide what to write, how much to write, how to start the answer, how to end the answer. So let's get started without wasting any time. Unit 5, yes, from my compiler. Let's go to question 9. Okay. So question 9, it is a unique question because sometimes I feel that you need to learn the provisions as it is. Sometimes a question has been, it has never been asked in the exam, or sometimes it is just an RTP, MTP question. It can be asked in the exam. So in this, I have identified a few questions for you. You can pause the video, read the question, frame your own answer. Now, if you're watching this video, this is actually our third lecture. We have already discussed questions, most important questions from Unit 1 to Unit 4 of the Indian Contract Act. My compiler has a left column which is generally blank. I encourage students to write pointers over there, frame their own answers, and then compare their answer with the model answer. So I'm going to follow that method only. But you first read the question and frame your answer. Be ready with the pointers, and then let's compare it with the model answer. So pause the video and read this question. So I hope you're ready with the answer. Yes, A is an Indian. Okay, this is very important. He is an Indian. He contracts to marry B. A is already married, a fact of which B was unaware. He's an Indian. So we let us assume that he is a Hindu. In many questions, they write that he is a Hindu because Hindu law is a personal law, which is very different from Muslim law. So A is an Hindu and he's already married. B is unaware of that fact. He promises to marry B. So let us write and convert this into the arrow format which I normally follow. A promises to marry B. See, when you make these notes while reading the question itself, you will end up saving a lot of time. So A is a Hindu and he promises to marry B while he is already married. Okay. Okay. A breaks his promise, B files a case. So B wants to file a case because promise to marry and when they get engaged, it is a valid contract. Now, because it is a valid contract, if you fail to perform this promise, it amounts to breach of contract. B, the aggrieved party can claim damages. So it's a valid contract, and then A breaks the promise. So this contract, there is a breach of contract when A breaks the promise. It amounts to breach of contract. B can take action, but on what grounds? Now, do you remember in breach of contract, there are various remedies available? One of the remedies is to file a suit for exemplary or vindictive damages. Yes. So let's take down notes over here. Let's frame the answer. Exemplary or vindictive damages. Now, when can you claim exemplary? See, our aim is generally not punishment. But in these kind of damages, our aim is to punish the party committing breach. Now, this can be claimed only under two circumstances, which are, yes, breach of promise to marry and wrongful dishonor of check by banker. So breach of promise to marry and wrongful dishonor of check. I don't know why this is wrongful dishonor of check by the bank. Change the settings. Maybe. I hope you're able to read. Yes. So, in case of breach of promise to marry, yes, we can claim exemplary or vindictive damages. These damages can be claimed only under these two circumstances. So, section 73, it talks about the right to claim damages or compensation for breach of contract. Okay, so, this talks about compensation for breach of contract. Vindictive damages, they are claimed with the aim of punishing the parties. I already discussed this with you. Generally, the intention is not punishment, but here it is. They are not awarded for breach. They are punitive in nature. Punitive, the meaning of punitive means it is disciplinary. So generally, we don't, allot the damages with the intention of punishing the parties, but here our aim is punishment. Punitive means we want to discipline. So it is like teaching others a lesson that if you do this, you will also be punished. So in case of breach of promise to marry, the damages will include compensation for loss of feeling and reputation. So loss of feeling, reputation. You can also write the word goodwill. Okay, so yes, I did not write that actually. Breach of promise to marry, you can claim the loss that feelings were hurt, your goodwill or reputation got damaged. Man, can we also claim the expenses which were incurred and maybe they got engaged, etc.? Yes, those expenses are also recoverable. Then, in facts of the case, like I have been telling you since the first lecture, in provisions, we will only write the theory, section number, name of case law, only the theory, provisions. Then, in facts of the case, you will explain the facts in your own words very briefly. In analysis, you will write down the solution. So in this case, he can get away with a plea that marriage cannot be forced upon. However, he will be liable for vindictive damages. So what does this sentence mean? This is the answer given by ICAI. He can get away with a plea that marriage cannot be forced upon. Now over here, you can write, you can also include, they have not included, but you can include that in India, polygamy is not allowed. Polygamy means having multiple partners. So here, you cannot promise to marry someone else while you're still married, because if you're an Indian, you're a Hindu, we do not allow polygamy. Polygamy means multiple partners. So over here, you can also write that because he's a Hindu, he cannot promise to marry someone else while he's already married. So yes, he can avoid the marriage. You can say that I'm already married. You can avoid the marriage, but you will also have to pay damages. So this is a very unique question. Why unique? It's a very simple question. But when the question is very simple, provisions are very simple, we sometimes are lost as to what to write in the answer. So see, there are 3 to 4 points. The first point which you should write is that you can claim vindictive damages. They are generally not with the, generally we don't have punishment, but in vindictive damage, our aim is punishment. So vindictive damages are generally with the aim of punishment. They are punitive in nature. Punitive means disciplinary. And what are the damages? That is loss of reputation and feelings are hurt. So these 3 points have to be included in your answer. Also, you should write this, that although marriage can be avoided, but you are still liable to pay the damages. So when you write these 5 points, then you will expect the examiner to give marks. Otherwise, you cannot expect the examiner to give you marks. So these 5 points are important. Next question which I have identified is question 10. So you can pause the video first, read the question on your own. Okay, I hope you're ready with the answer. So Mr. Ramaswamy of Chennai placed an order with Mr. Shah of Ahmedabad for the supply of urad dal on 10th of November 2006. The contract price was rupees 40. Order was for supply of 10 tons. And it was to be supplied by 9th of December. Now for me, that November date is not important. For me, the due date is important. So this is the due date. On 4th of December itself, it means before the due date. Okay, before due date. See how I'm making notes so that I need not read the question again. Mr. Shah wrote a letter stating that the price was skyrocketing to 50 rupees. So the market price increased to 50 rupees. He will not be able to sell at the contract price. He will not be able to sell. This indicates that there is a breach of contract. See, the hint is in the question itself. So this is breach of contract. The price then rose to rupees 53 on 9th of December. So can I write that this is on 4th of December? Advise Mr. Ramaswamy. So now in this case, because it is an anticipatory, before the due date means it is anticipatory. Yes. So before the due date, it means it is anticipatory breach. Now, breach may be either actual breach or anticipatory. Anticipatory means breach which takes place before the due date. The aggrieved party has two options. He's a very angry fellow. He can rescind. He can cancel the contract immediately without waiting for the due date. So the breach was on 4th. So the price is 50 rupees. And whereas the contract price is 40 rupees. So 10 rupees. But this is per kg, and the quantity which is given in is in tons. So 1 kg, when I convert this into kgs, it comes to 10,000 kilos. So this comes to 1 lakh. But the agree party also has another option to wait till the due date. Okay, he can decide to wait till the due date. That is till 9th. On 9th, the price was 53. The contract price is 40. Damages are 13 rupees into 10,000 kilos, which comes to 1,30,000. So you will have to write both the scenarios because I have not mentioned whether the contract is cancelled immediately or he decides to wait till the due date. So you will show this entire calculation, and because the calculation is required, the question is highlighted as important. In theory, you will write everything about anticipatory breach of contract, write about the remedies, okay, that you can rescind the contract immediately or wait till the due date. Don't show any calculation in the provision part, write all that in analysis. So this is the answer, that is 1 lakh or it is 1,30,000. What if on the date of refusal, due date, some event occurs which makes it impossible for the contract to be performed? Then the contract will be discharged due to supervening impossibility. Aggrieved party will not be able to claim any damages. So they have given that scenario also. If the government imposes a ban during the period, that is 4th of December to 9th of December, then the contract will be discharged due to supervening impossibility, and then the aggrieved party will not be able to claim damages. Contract becomes void. You can write down due to supervening impossibility. Section 56. The aggrieved party will not be able to claim damages. So that was question 10. The next question which I have identified is question 14. Please pause the video and read it. You're ready? Okay. So Mr. Jute entered into a contract with Such to purchase his motor car for rupees 5 lakhs. So he's going to sell the car for rupees 5 lakh. Within a period of 3 months, the security deposit was 20,000. Okay, so security deposit 20,000. So Mr. Jute, he paid the security deposit also. After completion of 3 months, Such tried to contact Jute to purchase the car, but even after 3 months, Jute neither responded nor attended the phone calls. After 6 months, now he's contacting and saying, I don't know to purchase the car and I want my security deposit back. The contract was void. So he is claiming back his benefit. He is trying to apply section 65, restoration of benefit. Is Such required to refund that amount? Also examine the validity of the claim if the motor car was destroyed within those 3 months. So that is the second part of the question. Now in this case, it is a security deposit. It is in the nature of earnest money. This is given as a security that don't worry, I will perform the promise, and if I don't, you can forfeit this amount. See, section 65 can be applied only when the contract is either found to be void ab initio or it becomes void subsequently. Okay, it is either void ab initio or it becomes void subsequently. Now here it is not the case. Okay, so they have mentioned section 65, but they have also mentioned in the answer that Mr. Such is not responsible for Jude's negligence. He can rescind the contract and he can retain the security deposit because it is not a benefit received under the contract. I want you to highlight this and write it in the answer. It is not a benefit received under the contract. It is a security that the purchaser would fulfill his contract. It is just ancillary to the contract. The meaning of ancillary is additional. So that is why I have chosen this question, because this paragraph is very, very important. This is not a benefit which you have received. This is in the nature of a security deposit. It can be forfeited. Write that word also, forfeit. In the second scenario, what if the car was destroyed? See, if the car is destroyed and that too within those 3 months, that it means that it was a valid contract, but it became void subsequently. Then section 65 will apply. In the second case, the agreement becomes void due to destruction. So you can call this as supervening impossibility. Therefore, Mr. Such is required to refund the. Okay, so that is why I chose this question, is because of this paragraph. Next, let us go through contingent and quasi-contract. Question 4. Very unique question. Highlight this and solve it one day before the exam. Pause the video, read this question on your own, try to solve it on your own. Ready with the answer? Okay. So here X is the finder. He found a wallet and he gave it to the manager of the restaurant. He said, you keep it till the true owner is found. But the true owner was not found. So he went back to the restaurant and he said, okay, you give me back the wallet. Manager is refusing. Can X recover it from the manager? Yes. X is the finder. So what are the rights of the finder? And what are the duties of the finder? Let us concentrate on duties over here, because rights will be imposed only when the owner is found. So over here, what are his duties? To take proper care of the goods, not to use the goods, to restore, to give the goods when the true owner is found. You can also write his duty is to find the true owner and return the goods to him. He can retain the goods till the true owner is found. Okay, so he can retain the goods. In the light of the above, manager must return the wallet to X because X is entitled to retain against everybody except the true owner. So he can retain against everybody. I will not give it to anybody except the true owner. I want you to write this in your exam. Okay, you need to write this. You have to include this in your answer. So yes, X can recover the wallet. The last question of the day, question 8. This is also important. Go through this one day before the exam. PQR, a hospital, recruits Dr. A on contract basis for 3 months. They promise to pay him a lump sum of 1 lakh rupees if he is tested corona positive. Identify the type of contract and highlight the rules of enforcement. What if happen if he does not contract that? So he may or he may not. If he contracts, he will get 1 lakh, and if he does not, he will not. It's a contingent contract. Section 31. So you need to define contingent contract. So he will get if he contracts that disease. So in this case, contingent contract, to do or not to do something if some uncertain event happens within a fixed time. Okay, so event must happen within a fixed time. So contingent contract where the event must happen within a fixed time. So if he contracts that disease within 3 months, he will get compensation. Otherwise, he will not get compensation. So if he contracts that disease, he will get compensation. And if he does not, then that contract will be void. What if in 3 months he does not contract? Then the contract becomes void on expiry of 3 months. So you have section 33, 34, 35. This relates to contingent contract on happening of the event but within a fixed time. So in the given case, uh, what if he does not contract? Okay. So hospital, so first you need to write that this is a contingent contract. This is a keyword. They will pay the obligation only if he contracts within a period of 3 months. He does not contract COVID-19, then the contract stands automatically void. See, it is a contingent contract which can be enforced only when the event happens within a fixed time. Here, the event has not happened within a fixed time, the contract becomes void. It's a unique question. I want you to go through this question one day before the exam. The highlighted part must be mentioned in your answer. You can also include over here that the contract can be enforced only when the event happens within a fixed time. If it does not, then the contract becomes. So you need to write this. All right, students. So today's session was a very light one because 2 small units were covered. In my next session, I will choose the questions from unit 7 and 8. So please be prepared, study the compiler, study the theory properly, and then let us discuss the most important questions for exam. You can purchase this book from my website, capreetyagarwal.com. A combo is also available where you can get not only the hard copy of the book, but also the question answer discussion. Each and every question is discussed in detail. In my next session, I will discuss more questions. If you have not yet subscribed to my channel, so quickly do that. Follow me for more content.